Hello, hello. This is Kristina, your host today. And today is, like as always, do episode of KSM Podcast Going Business Only with Kristina. You know, I'm so excited today to have my special guest speaker, Lady Sara Troy. And she has amazing story to share with us today. Sarah, welcome to the new episode of KSM Podcast. And tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Well, thank you for inviting me back again. And it's always a pleasure to be here with you. And also, have had you with me. So, I'm a professional podcaster, international podcaster, interview people from all over the world who are making a difference in the lives of others. They've found their passion, their conviction. It's something that drives them. And now they're there to share it with other people in order to shed illumination, skills, tools, wisdom that people can apply. My motto on my shows is listen, learn, and apply. Because there's always something that you've listened to, that you've learned, that when you apply it, it's just going to enhance your own life.
Oh, that's great. And I know that you run a podcast for now more than 12 years. I'm not sure.
13 and a half years, but 12
13
and a
and a
half years
half
with my own
years.
network.
Yeah. And before you started your podcast, and in some way I can say that you're like a pioneer of podcasting. You know, when podcasting was
It was still very new
started.
back in 2012. Yes.
What did you do before you started podcast, and what inspired you to do what you do now, what
Well, actually, it's a
podcasting?
kind of a funny story. I'm also a coach, which is a personality traits coach. That coaching is to do with your true colors, your four key personality traits, where I actually mix it with numerology, Chineseology, astrology, and also the time that you were born to look at your strengths and your weaknesses, weaknesses that can be brought up and weaknesses that you need to delegate to someone else because it will never be your forte, and to embrace those strengths that you have that are consistent through all of the personality traits. I've been doing that for a number of years. But before I started the podcasting, I had invested in a quantum electric motor, and the motor had been proven viable, etc., etc. But we got caught with 2008, the crash, and we also got caught with some people that were unscrupulous. And so there went our technology, and there left me kind of flapping in the wind. And I wrote an article, and somebody saw that article and said, I would love you to join my podcast network. And I said, well, what's a podcast? He goes, back in 2008, 12, I didn't know. And so I joined a live podcast for 13 months. It was a great training ground. And I really got the bug. Listening to people's stories, the things that they've gone through, the choices that they've made to embetter their own lives and then now become that beacon of hope and light for others. And so I started my own. And so 2013, June, I started my own network. And now here I am, podcast books. Produced two, a third one hopefully coming up next year. And still plodding along doing interviewing some extraordinary people like yourself from around the world who have got something to share.
Yeah, yes, and this is very interesting, and just for people, as you just imagine that article, you wrote article, and someone came to you and say, okay, would you like to join this
Yeah.
podcasting education or network and start something like that? And to be honest, I have never thought about that I'm going to be a podcaster because English is my
Mhm.
second language. I run team for the web and graphic design now more than 15 years. Also, I'm so passionate about speaking more than writing. And this
Mm.
is how I started from the challenge. It was challenge, and I started 21 Day Challenge, did digital marketing coaching in that time, and I hosted for ladies, for entrepreneurs. And this is how my podcast came up,
Yeah.
because as you know, you never know
No,
how it's going with it.
no. And
And
that's the thing is,
congratulations on duration of your podcasting. And I was your guest, and I know how do you do that and how you host amazing people from all over the world. And I
Hmm.
can just imagine, and our audience can imagine, how you're fulfilled of different stories and
Oh
maybe
gosh,
change
yes.
people's life.
So much. I always say, people say, how many people listen? I said, all those that are ready to hear. How many people's lives does it change? And if it changes one, I'm happy. Right. And that is thing is that once that podcast is out there, it's beyond my control. How people listen to it, what they get from it, what they do with it is purely up to them. And my responsibility is putting out that content for them. We have no control of how people use it. But I think when it comes from the heart and it has good intent, those good vibrations, that's what people pick up on. And that's, I think people then begin to listen more. My shows are long, as you know, they're an hour or more. And a lot of people just want 10-minute quick fixes. And I'm for the people who are hungry to know more, hungry to know the layers. And it's wonderful, interviewing people where we start off with one way and then the reveal really comes. As the onion gets peeled away, we get to the core, and so much valuable information is then revealed there. And I think if you really want to learn and you really want to have answers to what maybe your problem is, or choices you need to make, or is this for me, listen to the people that are doing it and take notes. As I said, listen, learn, and apply, because it's those little nuggets that are unexpected in a podcast that come out that end up being quite profound. So if you're not willing to listen, you're not going to learn and you'll have nothing to apply. So time is something that you need to invest in, and that means time to listen to these experts and what they have to share.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because I know through that, this podcast, KSM Growing Business Online with Kristina, is it's third year randomly by FeedSpot, like very a very top 20 to listen to in category of online business. And when I deliver it on FeedSpot, I didn't know about it. But
Mm,
yes, this is because of content. This is of amazing people who share their ups and downs, their challenges. And I think that when people, as you said, we don't really, we don't have control who
mhm.
will listen to. But if we can change some people's life in terms to help them and
Yes.
support through sharing and hosting amazing guest speakers, experts in their fields. So this is something very valuable for people and audience to listen to and learn. And through that, I really learned a lot. And I had amazing answers on my question, which I didn't know. Just
Yes,
asking
yes.
my guest speaker to share with me, I'm learning at the moment, and also my audience. So this is,
Well, that's
in
the
our
beauty of
show
it.
today will be so educational
No, I mean,
and
and
very
what we're
interesting.
what we're doing, we're very organic. We're letting it flow, and like when I take my shows, we're going to talk around a particular topic, but how we talk around that topic is in the flow, is in the synergy of our energies and what is to come out, and it's allowing. Yes, we want to address A, B, and C, but how we address A, B, and C organically is really where it's at, because that's when you really do get the flow, the rhythm, in which people listen to and they pick up what they need to pick up from. The question answer, too rigid. People want flow, and I want people to have flow in their lives. I want them to get into their rhythm of their own algorithm beat. And when you learn how to do that, you can weather any storms along the way.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that because, and you're so experienced podcaster, so you know how you how people resonate with that, and especially
Mm,
when people wanted to share their story, especially when they wanted to, in some way, to be promoted, in some way
yeah.
to pop up, in some way that people and listeners, audience can hear their voice. This is so valuable,
And
I
that's the
believe.
thing, is that, some podcasts are to promote what the work they're doing, but I call them why shows. Why
Mm.
are you doing what you're doing? Whom does it serve and how? But I want people to know the why. What journey have they taken to doing what they're doing today? And why are they doing it? Because even if I'm promoting you through the podcast, people want to connect to your why. Why are you doing it? Because if they know you're not just in it for a buck, but you're in it out of conviction, but this is a calling, this is a passion, a purpose, then people warm up to you so much more because they know that you're very engaged in what it is you have to offer. And it's not just something, oh, well, I can do it, I can make money out of it. I don't really interview those type of people. I interview the people that have had their redirect or their cosmic 2x4, and they really have stepped into something that is meaningful to them. And through that meaningfulness, they have found skills and tools and abilities that they can now share with other people.
Yeah, that's as you said, you have never knew into your organic
Mm.
interviewing people uh what what will be the next step, what they will answer,
Yep.
and sometimes they from this podcast also guest speakers get knowledge also to get their direction where they want to
Hmm.
go. Maybe they're in that moment is stuck, but when they're sharing something and they just are in the other shoes, just because they are a speaker, they share that and they get some ideas maybe to change something in their
Yes.
life and
Yes,
business and
because, you know, we're
however.
learning from them too. I mean, you know, people say, "Oh, do you go to therapy?" I don't need to. Of all the shows that I've done, it's been an absolute incredible therapy. It's been wonderful for me. You cannot help but learn so much through being the podcast host because it rubs off on you. You're so inspired by people's journeys. I've interviewed people that you wouldn't have blamed them if they'd given up. You wouldn't have, for what had happened to them, which should never happen to a human being. You wouldn't have blamed them for giving up. But instead, they decided, A, not to be the victim, but to go through the process of healing, of discovering their own strength, their own courage, their own abilities, and then become that beacon of hope and how for others. And they chose to do that. And that, I think, is one of the biggest lessons. We can choose our path. We can't choose what happens to us. We can choose what we do with it and who we become because of it. That power lies within us. And when you interview people who have taken that choice, who have empowered themselves, it cannot help but be empowering to you.
Yeah, that's so true, and I'm super happy to have you again today, because we in between our previous podcast always things change,
Yes,
and we always have something to share, you know.
always.
And today you mentioned before we starting the show today that you and also in the part in the show about your book. How did you feel to start writing a book? Because you have a lot of content, I mean, about
Yes, well,
podcasting.
actually, for the people that are looking, the books behind me, Dare to Live Fearlessly, Selfish and Not Easily Manipulated, Mission Accepted 262, those are books that I've contributed into, so anthologies. The blue book there is my own memoir. Um, and then this is a book I put out last year, Our Forgotten Children. It's an anthology around the raising of a children and what we need to change, what we need to be aware of, the difficulties for parents, difficulties for children, what will help them, you know, just changing that system and being aware. And I had a book, an ebook before that, which is all about self-discovery, and I had a load of people in that too on an anthology. And the next book is Our Forgotten Seniors, where I will have seniors come on and share all that they've achieved. And we can champion that, what they find difficult and challenges in being a senior, and their warning to the youth and how to prepare for their seniorship. So I call them awareness books because if we don't bring aware, you know, when we're aware, we care. When we care, we do something about it, but we cannot be unaware anymore. And I think that awareness is something that I'm very much an advocate for. Um, there's so many changes needed in the world, and half the time we do not know. We're not aware of what's going on. And when we are aware, we never know. We could be part of the solution, but we were just unaware of the problem.
And when you mentioned about that anthology of children.
Yes.
What triggered you to focus on that? Because I know
Mhm.
that you, in terms of podcasting, people all around the world,
Yes.
experts, just simple people, you know, because we're human being, and
Mm.
to interview them for what they do from their heart, you know. And I
Right.
know it as a heart-centered coach, because this is so important. How, when did you see the problem and realized that people need to have awareness about that, and just
Mm.
what triggered you to write that book in terms
Well, in
of
the 12 years
children?
of podcasting, and I've got about 19 different genres, and those genres are different titles. Whether you're looking at mental health, spirituality, business, whatever, you'll find shows under those titles. And I've done so many shows on children. I am a mother of three. I have last week became a mother of three grand boys. So, children are extremely important to me because I firmly believe, and this is another thing from doing the shows that I've done, the amount of percentage of people who have healed their inner child. Their inner child was wounded, inner child was trying to speak to them. And that healing of realizing everything that was wrong went back to childhood, went back to that inner child. And why can we not prevent the trauma of an adult by taking care of the children and the family now? So it became something from all the shows that I did that I realized we needed to have a book on it. I'm hoping to produce more books on our forgotten children and expand the story out even more. It's not easy gathering authors, people who are willing to commit, because they do 2 summits, they do a why podcast, they do a chapter podcast, and of course, get behind the book. So I need people that are really committed to that. But it's a passion of mine to bring out, children, families. I think what we're looking at in society, we're not investing in families, which case we're not investing in children. We're investing in prisons, we're investing in a whole load of stuff at the other end, but none of that needs to happen if we take care of the community, the children, and the families right at the beginning. And also look at our children very much as our indigo children today. They are so divinely attached. They are such a beautiful light. If we raise them in their light, gave them the structure, the skills, and the tools they needed to be uh, who they really are, we wouldn't see people being so disconnected from themselves. Excuse me, getting over a cold. Um, and we wouldn't see them so disconnected from themselves, or feeling that they need to chase something in life instead of allowing themselves to be who they really are. So a lot of societal problems is this chasing an expectation, a dictation from society, rather than embracing the core purpose and who we really are, and allowing that to shine through. So instead of adults healing their inner child, why don't we take care of the children and the families so they can grow up to be beautiful whole adults?
That's yeah, yeah, that's so in connection, because finally I know, and for audience, just to know did you uh how did you um start to write a book? Because yes, you have a lot of in your in terms of your podcasting, you have different genres like
Yeah.
a spirituality, or you know, those
Yes.
kind of things. In my podcast is mostly people want to share their stories about their business, about, you know, small business owners and etc. But as I said, you through your podcasting, you already had a lot material, a lot of
Yes.
content to share it, and just to stress on something in terms to take care about children, about
Yes.
kids, which is so
Yes.
important to have healthy world. I mean, if
Yes.
we raise
Oh my
up
God.
them from their inner child, this is so important. How people they will be, not just only, hey, you know, there are married mothers, they didn't give birth still, you know, they didn't, and they wanted her kid just speak 2 languages, 3 languages. You know, just imagine and put them like what they want as a, but don't let them to be who they are really. They're
Exactly.
only
And that's the big
children.
problem. Exactly.
Like in everywhere, in every country, I
Yes,
mean, just.
absolutely. And, there are a lot of school programs today, like Waldorf and others, where they follow the children's lead. They identify in the child a gift they have and they help nurture that gift. Now, that doesn't mean that child is going to grow up to be that, because they may pivot to this and pivot to that. But what you're giving is a permission for them to be who they are, saying it's enough, and permission and guidance on exploring and becoming something else. And through the years of doing this, whether it's business shows, and I can tell you, everybody I've interviewed from business was in some form of business, corporate or whatever, following the rules, chasing the carrot, right? And realizing they're utterly miserable. And, either the cosmic 2x4 or a redirect came along, and they're now doing something they love and they're passionate about that actually was in them as a child, right? And they're following that path now. And I think it's if we nurture those children of who they are today, and instead of it's all about the A's and the competition, and if you don't get an A, you're less than, and looking at who they are as human beings, I think we will have a much better society. And it's very, very slowly changing that way. But the more and more, again, through podcasting and other means, we make people aware of this and they start seeing the benefits of that change.
And just remind them to think about it because of all those technology, all those
Mm,
stuff, what we have at the moment, and also we just sometimes forget on ourselves to
yes,
heal, to
yes,
just we wanted to follow rules, just to have one direction and everything. But sometimes we need to get back inside of us and still
yes,
think about who we are and how we raise up our children in terms of don't they be just like to have our wish to put on children to be who we want it to be. Sometimes we don't
exactly.
give them to play as small kids and to be
Yeah,
who really they are
exactly.
without
And that,
stress, without direction, without you need to be like when you grow up you will be this and that
yeah,
and in terms of business or something like that. So that's we need to release it and give them opportunity to be just only kids and to
yeah.
smile and to play and to be who they really are.
And discover who they really are. My network is called Self Discovery Wisdom.com. And the reason why it's called that, we're all in discovery of self. Who are we today? I'm not the same woman I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. We're always in discovery of who are we now in